We have an exciting interview. Crowdcreate is proud to announce that we're bringing on Binance's former global head of partnerships to our expert advisor network so you can get access to expert thought leaders like Milan. Milan has spent years at Binance, the world's largest crypto company, where he did massive brand deals with superstars like Cristiano Ronaldo. He has millions of subscribers on social media, and he also has a global following. Milan is going to break down in this interview how they do these deals, how they think about it, and how you too can also think about your own brand strategy. Binance also partnered with KB Lane. KB Lane is one of the largest TikTok influencers and KOLs, and he is there to educate users and bring them onto the Binance platform. Binance also partnered with the Grammys, one of the most well-attended, star-studded events. Binance partnered with Formula One Racing, and they also did with music superstar The Weeknd. You're not going to want to miss this entire interview. Stay till the end. Milan shares a ton of great insights. And if you need experts like Milan to be able to help you grow your own project, contact us at Crowdcreate. We'd love to help and share and bring these experts' insights to your project. So thanks. Hey, everyone. We have an exciting guest on the Crowdcreate podcast. His name is Milan Amin. He is ex-Binance's global head of partnerships, and he has a lot of value in terms of sharing insights on how to acquire users in crypto through brand partnerships and celebrities, and just overall words of wisdom, and generally just trying to help out the community, bring more users into the space. And thanks, Milan, for joining us.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Incredibly excited to be here today to share some thought leadership, advice, information. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast as much as I'm enjoying recording it with Jeffrey here, and I hope you get some value out of it.
Awesome. So yeah, Milan, would love for you to share your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a marketer for 10 to 12 years, mostly in the C-level executive. So I was marketing director, chief marketing officer, VP of growth. And across the last, I would say I got into crypto in 2016, where I was the CMO of a crypto company. And, back then there was all sorts of ICOs happening. The crypto companies were actually starting to take fruition. We did some, guerrilla marketing tactics and raised over $20 million for one of the projects that I was holding at the time. And, that went on to be a tremendous crypto organization. After that, I joined as the VP of growth for an AI company, which was owned by Microsoft. And then a couple of years later, I joined Binance. Now, when I joined Binance, I was the global head. I was the head of growth marketing for the UK markets. And then after a few months, I was the performance lead for Europe and India. And finally, across just over the last year, I was the global head of brand partnerships for Binance. And, we started seeing brand partnerships really being taken seriously into the industry. And so, I had a task, which was to go out and get the biggest and best partnerships for Binance, which is the biggest exchange in the world. So within 1 year, we accomplished deals with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Lionel Messi, with KB Lane, with the Grammys, Cannes Film Festival, African Cup of Nations, and so much more. And I think it was an incredible journey to be a part of, because we went to take Web3 to the masses and the hundreds of millions of people around the world, where crypto was a new area for them.
Wow. So you definitely have had that startup experience to the largest, global crypto exchange in the world. So how do you think about launching a product in crypto, going through both sides of it and getting the marketing and distribution it needs to, hit the masses and be successful?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeffrey. So I'll touch on it on two parts. First of all, the crypto products. I think you always have to keep the end user in mind for crypto products. Within the crypto industry itself, there is a heavy emphasis on the technology, but the technology is intrinsically a little complex. And I think we always have to bear in mind is, what does the end experience look like for the user? If the experience isn't going to be something that the average person can understand, if it's not going to be as simple as opening a bank account with a neobank or a traditional bank, then you're going to create customer friction. So I was always start with the product and ensuring that the actual product adds genuine value. You have to ask yourself, does it make the life of the user easier, better? And if so, how? And once you gain that clarity, that can be your marketing USP. Secondly, what is the utility of the product? I think there's always a degree of excitement within crypto because it's moving so fast. Some products don't have genuine utility. So I would always take a step back and say, does this product have actual value? Does it have any meaningful value? And if it does, then it's going to hold some merit in the global wider audience. Now, to talk about the second part of your question, which was market distribution, the first thing you have to do is always ensure that you are going where your customers are most engaged. Now, whenever you work with any entity, whether it is the likes of Formula One or whether it is the likes of Ronaldo, we always have to understand what type of content do, for example, Ronaldo's fans love consuming? What type of mediums does an entity like Formula One within that do their consumers actually like to engage with? And so we're not here to reinvent the wheel. We're here to use what these entities and what these audiences and what these celebrities already know, but we're here to enhance that experience for the users. And so I think when it comes to market distribution, there are many verticals, as you know. There's SEO, there's performance marketing, there's PR and communication, there's social media, there's content creation. And in addition to that, there are working with influencers and partners. So it's about diversifying the market distribution channels, but also leveraging as to where the users are most engaged. And finally, looking at what platforms are the fastest growing. And to give you an example of that, like right now, TikTok would be the fastest growing social media platform in the world. So it makes sense to actually utilize this as one form of marketing distribution, but doing it in a way that it can appeal to the mass users. And that happens through social representation by having an entity or a person which actually to some degree relates to your personality and your demographics and your culture, and having them go through the experience themselves so you feel a degree of relatability, and that will build trust for your brand.
Share your thoughts and kind of walk through how should brands approach these partnerships, and how does it start, and like what is your framework for working with celebrities and brands in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it's important to understand that when you say traditional brands have trust, and crypto and Web3 doesn't have trust. So when you look at, for example, a football team, some people have grown up since the age of 5 and supported the same football team for 20, 30 years. There is a degree of nostalgia, and that there is a degree of trust. And I think, when working with brands, we have to always remember that people are used to a certain experience. So the purpose of Web3 isn't to replace that experience or alter it or change it. It is to let them go through the same experience, but a more improved experience. And I'd love to give an example of this. I was listening to Mark Cuban, who is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And he said that whenever people purchased a ticket to go to the Dallas Mavericks stadium, after they purchased a ticket, they would enter the stadium. The moment their QR code is scanned, they would automatically get an email. That email says, hey, guess what? You've just got an NFT as a gift for coming to the stadium and watching this show. Click here to claim your NFT. And what they did is they actually created a wallet automatically for the user. And then when they open up that wallet, there was already an NFT inside of it. So traditionally, this would have just been a ticket holder who goes and experiences the game, but they improved the experience without changing the experience. And they did that by gifting that really unique thing that wasn't there before through an NFT, which adds a degree of mystery, which adds a degree of excitement. And so working with traditional brands is about tapping into the nostalgia where there is already a degree of trust, and improving the customer experience to give them a new experience that isn't too complicated, but just seamless as they would traditionally experience it.
Nice. And of course, from the performance marketing side, brands and partnering, always talking about KPIs, metrics. How do you measure success, and like what does success mean for you when you're putting together these partnerships?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first of all, we have to remember that a big part of success is collaboration. And I think any company looking to get into the Web3 space has to accept that they're not going to be good at everything. Even a company as big as Binance, they have so many different entities, right? So for example, there are companies which purely specialize within the metaverse, and they develop the most incredible metaverses in the world. There are companies which are the most beautiful design studios for NFTs. In-house capabilities might not match what external organizations or agencies have in terms of their capabilities, because they have honed down on a particular niche. So I think the first thing is, measuring success is about spreading and collaborating the various people within the Web3 space. But success for me is measured by, I would say, 5 areas. The first is return on investment. With any partnership or any project that you do, you have to ensure that there is a degree of return on investment. Secondly, what is the brand value and the brand awareness that you are going to generate from doing this particular NFT project? Thirdly, what is going to be your user acquisition from this partnership? Then it comes down to product distribution. How many Web3 products are you going to embed into the ecosystem of the people that you're partnering with, or how many NFT product, or how many Web3 products are you going to be able to bring to users? And thirdly, where are the growth opportunities? And so within the growth opportunities, we touched on it earlier. There are many, many marketing verticals. When it comes to user acquisition, there's a huge opportunity to look at the LTV. And if you acquire 100,000 users, if you multiply 100,000 users by the LTV, you will get a figure that potentially could give you some tangibility of what the actual lifetime value or what the return on investment is. Thirdly, when you look at things like brand awareness that I touched on, what is the media value that is generated from this? How much advertising have you actually received? And it's always important to look at third-party companies, which can give you a bit of an objective answer in terms of what the actual media value is. And fourthly, when I talked about product distribution, things such as NFTs can sell. So there is a direct revenue translated or generated from that. Things such as metaverse can sell metaverse tickets to experience, for example, like a concert online, and there is direct revenue from that. So when you add up all of these things, you actually get to a very, very tangible number, and that helps you calculate what success is, but also how successful your campaign has been based on the hypothesis of your NFT or Web3 product.
That's phenomenal, Milan. And just what we've seen and talking to the brands, it's just everyone wants to do marketing, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to those metrics. And that's how you know that you're really making a difference. And so, phenomenal response and the way to think about it. So, getting into the nitty gritty of things, how do you negotiate deals with marketing partners or these like celebrities or even brands? Like, how do you actually structure that deal so it's a win-win for both sides of it?
Yeah, I actually love this question because whenever I've been in partnerships, it's like, hey guys, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, we don't know. We don't understand Web3. What can we do? And so there's always this like, back and forth because we'll say, okay, well, you can do all of these things. And then they'll come back and say, well, we want to do everything, right? So it's quite funny because there is a degree of asymmetric information on both sides. From the exchange side, we know our capabilities, we know what we can do, and we know what we can deliver. But from their side, they have the type of information which will tell us what the best routes are to reach their end consumers. And so I think it fundamentally does come down to education. Whenever we work with any celebrity or any entity, we have to educate them about the various products and services, about how consumers can engage with those products and services, and really for them to understand what is on the table. And once that education is there for them, they can also tell us that, hey, these are our routes to market, and this is how we've grown, for example, an NBA team or a Formula One team or a football team to X million people globally. So that's the first thing, is education. Secondly is clarity. Have absolute precision level clarity on what you want from the deal. I believe rule number 1 of the negotiation is being so clear on what you want from the deal, and that shapes then what the direction of the conversation that you want to go down. And clarity in terms of what one of those verticals do you want to use, how much do you want to pay for the partnership, what is the actual value that you anticipate from the partnership. There are many elements that you need to be clear with. And there are many, many variables. In fact, we could probably talk about an hour on this because I've negotiated so many deals. But having clarity is fundamentally the second thing, which is of paramount importance. Thirdly, we have to ensure that it is mutually beneficial. Partnership is called partnership for a reason. It is a relationship, and it is a relationship which lasts many, many years. So it is about developing and getting the synergy of what their brand objectives are, as well as ours, and being very candid and very open and saying that, hey, look, this is how many users we might want to acquire. And then that entity saying, well, this is how much brand awareness we want. This is how much users we want. And then it's creating a hybrid solution that ticks all the boxes. It is beneficial for them and it is beneficial for yourself. And I think once you go into any partnership with the intent of being mutually beneficial, immediately it's a people business. They feel that you're going to give them value, and we feel that they're going to give us value, and partnerships happen so much more seamlessly. And I'll probably wrap up on this last point, which is remove the clutter. Not everything on offer is going to be of value, and you're going to find that if 100 things are on offer, or 100 different verticals, or X amount of social media posts, or Y amount of things, you're going to find that the real, it's the Pareto principle, that 80% of the value might only come from 20% of the things. And you have to identify what are those 20% of the things that are going to give you 80% of the value. And therefore, once you identify that, that will give you the room to negotiate, because you might not have to pay for the rest if it's not really going to make the biggest impact to you, right? So I think it does come down to the law of diminishing returns, that if you're going to get the maximum value on only 20% of the things, then why pay for an extra 80? And I think if you go in with that mindset of really being clear on where the value is for them, that might give you more scope in terms of how to negotiate and pay even less for something, but to really go to the root of where the most value is from the partnership.
That's great, Milan, and really sound feedback and insights. So the number one thing that we see with clients, always want things immediate, like immediate gratification. The moment a social media post goes up, the downloads they think are going to shoot up. Users are instantly going to start using it. So how do you handle, right, the expectations and demands of a client, where they expect things to happen immediately, quickly, and then also when you're working with the brand, the marketing campaign, to have them understand on the education side about the process that it takes? Or if you can share anything on that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because crypto is moving so fast that it sometimes feels that if you don't deliver something immediately, then you're falling behind. And
Yeah.
when I started in crypto, it was just crypto. And now there is NFTs, there's metaverses, there's GameFi's, there's DeFi's, there's DAOs. And it's like, before you even got your head wrapped around one product or service, there's a dozen more or half a dozen more, right? And you're like, wow, if we don't do something really fast, we're going to fall behind. But I think it's important to understand that crypto is here to stay. And with that being said, it is a marathon. And with that being said, we always have to remember that things aren't going to necessarily be correct the first time round, but it takes experience, and it takes having a very, very iterative process throughout it. And this year we saw the launch of most global brand partnerships within the Web3 space this year and last year. And they're still coming to fruition, most of them. We still fully haven't understood what the user experience is, but we know that once we have a set of data to say, here's the starting point, we can only build upwards from there. And so if you stay committed to the path of growth, if you stay committed to the path of iteration, and constantly are focused on developing that user experience, I think people are going to become more and more attracted to the Web3 offerings. And then it will just become so native that it will be easier to onboard users. Right now, there is some degree of friction still within the Web3 space, because there is a perception of fraud and risk and potentially technology that people don't understand. So that degree of simplicity isn't there, but I believe with iteration that can be bridged.
Words of wisdom right there, Milan. Thank you for that. And so when you think about global adoption then of crypto NFTs, I think there's about 1 billion users globally that currently use it. So what is going to be that next, to the masses, and just any, insights you have on really getting a product out there?
Yeah, so for me, I think it really comes down to the experience. So taking, for example, NFTs, right? When it comes to NFTs, and let's say that these NFTs have to some degree genuine value, because we saw with like CryptoPunks and everything, they released the product first and then developed the utility later. I think because so many people have been burnt in that process, now we're sort of becoming utility first and then developing NFTs around that, which could be limited edition. But NFTs now, have to have a bit more of an augmented experience. And what do I mean by that? It means that you could release a limited edition of NFTs. So there's only a few of them, and that basic supply and demand gives them a degree of rarability. Having rare NFTs. So let's take the Dallas Mavericks example that I gave earlier. Imagine that out of, let's say, 10,000 people that attended the stadium, 1% of the NFTs were super, super rare, which meant that whenever, you wouldn't know unless you check your email and claim your NFT. But if you got that super, super rare NFT, which only 1% of the people have, that's 100 people, that could mean that you might get a free season pass to the next
Wow.
Dallas Mavericks event, right? And so it's about developing some degree of gamification, and that enhances and augments the user experience. Thirdly, look at things like mystery boxes, and give customers a degree of delight when it comes to NFTs. And this whole process of gamification makes the entire experience more fun for users. It makes them want to claim their NFT, because otherwise they're thinking, why would I want a picture? It actually makes no sense. But if there is something of actual intrinsic value to the end consumer by claiming that NFT, then I think the adoption rates are significantly higher.
That's awesome, Milan. Thank you for sharing all of your insights. You definitely, your experience that you bring to the industry is extremely valuable. How can people follow you and just overall, join in the conversation that you're having about, pushing this technology forward?
Yeah, my pleasure. So, to follow me, I'm on crypto. I've just started. And so my crypto is Milan Amin Crypto, at Milan Amin Crypto. My Instagram is Milan.Amin. And I've just started on TikTok to share daily crypto news and education. You can follow me on the _Milan_Amin. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with you all. I'm working with Crowdcreate now to bring more education, more advice to more users and more companies globally about how they can take their Web3 product and bring it more to the masses. So I look forward to sharing more thought leadership and education with you as we all continue on this journey together to bring Web3 as a bigger industry to all of us.
Love it. Thanks, Milan. The number one question that people ask us is like, how would you market our product to grow? Right. They always
Yeah.
ask that.
Oh no, I get asked that all the time. And honestly, I think it really comes down to the many things that I said in the podcast, that you have to understand, where are their growth channels, what has historically worked well for people to grow, what do their users want. It's like everyone wants a magic formula, but what they don't realize is that you just have to listen to your users. Your users are giving you the solution. It's not going to come out of thin air. It's not going to come out of some guy who has a crystal ball. Just listen to your users and execute brilliantly and give them the best experience. And if you do that, your users are going to grow, because they're going to feel that they've been listened to. And that's what's going to give you that degree of scalability and sustainability in the future. So it's no secret. And I always find it quite funny when they're like, if your product isn't growing, it's not growing for a reason, right? So why don't you listen to what the users are, take on the feedback, and then actually implement it, and it might actually grow, right?
So with that, where do you find those users? What questions would you ask them? And like getting into like the specifics of it. Are they at crypto conferences? Are they at music festivals? Are they at the sporting event? Like, how do you actually find that user, get in front of them, ask them the questions, and then iterate? Like, do you have a process or framework for that?
I do, yeah. So first of all, digital communities are very quick, because
Mm,
because of Telegram and because of Twitter, you can instantly run polls, and you can
mm,
instantly run a lot of questionnaires. I think there is a science behind the types of questions you need to ask your users to understand, where the most iteration or where the most improvements need to be made with your product or service. But I think thirdly, and most importantly, you need to be really objective. You need to ask users questions that they don't expect. For example,
mm.
why isn't our product going to work? Everyone can tell you what to do, but if you ask them, why isn't our product going to work? You're going to get the most interesting answers. People are going to tell you it's not going to work because you still haven't sorted out your XYZ process. Your customer service takes 2 days or 3 days to get back to us. I have lost my whatever, right? It could be anything. But by asking users the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. And to do it in a digital manner is going to give you the most degree of scalability, because you're going to be able to get analytics. And with those analytics, you can make data informed decisions. So that's how I would do it. I think events and all of that is fantastic, but and that gives you a face to a name, but you won't be able to reach the same level of scalability as you will through digital analytics.
Wow. How do you know when a project has product market fit or something that you could grow and scale?
I think one of the best indicators of product market fit is referrals, and
Mm,
seeing how many people are referring your product onto other people. Secondly, I think the other success indicator of product market fit is, are they creating content about it? So it's one thing referring your product to someone else. The second thing is, publicly advocating your product on social media. If you search hashtag your product, how many people are creating content about it? And I think if people do it out of their own will, that is the biggest indicator of product market fit, because
Wow.
it means that there is so much value there that they have to share it with people. So I think looking at these two things and seeing that, if these are some of the biggest indicators that I look at. And thirdly, looking at these communities that you've built. It's one thing to build a community. It's another thing to turn that community into a self-sustaining ecosystem. Does that community work with or without your intervention? And ideally, you want to get it without your intervention, because ultimately that will give you scalability. And if it does, and people remain excited, and you start having community managers or people that will, come in and out just to moderate, but that community is thriving and growing by its own accord, that actually tells you you have something which is a product market fit that people genuinely love and they would love to associate with your brand. So there are a few, I'm sure that there's many more that I could tap into, but just off the top of my head, there are some of the indicators that I look at.
Phenomenal feedback. And so when it comes down to the building phase, like for certain projects, would you, if you haven't found product market fit, would you tap into advisors or consultants or get builders? Like how do even the smallest grassroots, I know projects, and you were at a startup before,
Yeah.
how would you actually build product market fit and get like the mechanics to build?
Yeah, no, this is a really, really fundamental question. First of all, it really comes down to testing hypothesis. Based
Mm.
on all of the intelligence that you have amongst your C-level, amongst your leadership, experiment, test a hypothesis. What is the intended hypothesis? What is the expected results? What is the execution plan and strategy and roadmap? And give yourself a window to test it. Let's say you do a strategy and within 1 month you've tested it, it doesn't quite work. What have you learned from that? What has worked well? What hasn't worked well? Once you've identified what hasn't worked well, what improvements are you going to make to then launch phase 2 of the testing iteration cycle? And then if you get to a point, and many companies do, this is totally normal. We're like, guys, I think we've totally bummed out here. Like we've tried everything, it's still not working. Get on advisors, get on,
Mm.
get on an advisory board, find people in the industry who have their own communities, because then you'll be able to leverage their community, their understanding, their expertise, and bring it on board. So I do a hybrid model. I lay out my own improvements of what I think is going to work, or what the leadership team thinks is going to work in phase 2. But I combine that with some thought leadership or some insights from a diverse range of people, never just one. So I'll take the opinion of an
Mm.
influencer who has a community. I'll take the opinion of someone else who's been in the industry for maybe 20 years. I'll take the opinion of another mechanism. And I would combine all of that, and that will give us a really, really robust strategy for phase 2. And I think if you continue down that cycle, of course, like anything, there'll be a few bumps on the road, but eventually you're going to align in terms of what your users want. So it's purely data-driven, purely iterative, a lot of advisory and collaboration, but really respecting everyone's opinion and having diverse opinion that's going to drive it forward.
Milan, phenomenal what you just shared. Like truly, it is that fundamental approach to solving these problems, and you truly have a framework and system for this. And so,
Yeah.
excited to work with the next big thing in crypto and even these startup projects. And because with crypto and NFT technologies, it's so incredible that an artist or creator now has the ability to monetize their art, even if you're just a guitar player playing at a local coffee shop, or an artist that just makes paintings. If you think about it, if you just have 1,000 users paying you $100 each, that's $100,000, and people can actually make a living doing what they love, which is why we're so excited about it, from crypto to NFTs, from a startup standpoint all the way to the large enterprise clients that like wanting to bring in experiences, and your framework is phenomenal. So
no, I really appreciate that. Look, we are living in a creator economy. We are living in an economy where the people that hold the most amount of attention are winning. We've seen that with influencers building mega enterprises. I mean, just look at Mr. Beast. He got offered $1 billion for his YouTube channel, and
wow.
that became public just recently. He's built an entire enterprise. What started as one YouTuber creating videos, it then went on to Mr. Beast Burgers and so many other things. but it's about doing it in a way which is very, very responsible. You know, this path of Web3 does receive a lot of backlash. We've seen that. It does receive a lot of fines, and Kim Kardashian got fined by the SEC $1.26 million. That was in the news in the last 24 hours. But just being committed to the path, I think we'll all, a roadmap and come out of this together stronger.
Nice. Milan, phenomenal interview. I do think that we have so much good content and we should probably do this again soon.
Sure.
And so
Anytime.
Awesome. Thank you, Milan. And
My pleasure.
Yeah, we'll chat soon.
All right.
If you like this video and looking for more tips and strategies, subscribe to our channel and reach out to our Crowdcreate team to see how we can help your project.